Hey, how's it going, you guys? This is petplatypus here, and it's time for a late review of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm sorry about that, but on Friday I went out to see Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll be posting a review of that later on, but I was really tired like all day, except for when I was watching Guardians. So yeah, I was just kind of blobbing around, and I couldn't record, whatever, but I just didn't feel like it. But yeah, so blame that on laziness. But anyways, here's my Jojo review. Not really much to say. I wasn't even sure if I was going to review this. I thought about just waiting until next week and reviewing it with the next episode, because really not a lot happens. The episode starts out, and they're in the desert inside of a little cave, sweating their fucking faces off, melting practically, and it's super hot, and they're like, how did it end up like this? And then we cut back, and they're going to a place, I forget where they are, but they're still in the Middle East, and they're actually getting a lot closer to their goal. You can see on the map that they are getting closer to where they want to go. But yeah, they end up renting a car, and he's like, we should take a helicopter or something like that, you know, some kind of, you know, aerial transport, and Jotaro's like, I'm not going to fly in a helicopter or anything with a guy who's been in 3 plane crashes, which Joseph obviously is offended by. That was funny, though. So they end up deciding to take camels, and Joseph trades the car, and we kind of see this episode, more than any other episode, except for maybe the one with the Empress, Joseph is the most Joseph in this episode. Like, he's really acting like how you'd expect him to, based on how he was in Part 2. Because if you notice in Part 3, I mean, it's pretty painfully obvious, but he acts a lot more serious, and he doesn't have nearly as many goofy or silly moments. And you could say he got more mature, but, you know, it's almost like a completely different character outside of, like, you know, the oh-no's and the predicting what Empress was going to say. So, yeah. This was pretty good. You know, he's trying to teach him how to get on a camel. It was funny. There was a really funny scene where, like I even mentioned in my Hunter x Hunter review, where the animation isn't that great, but and I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying they don't do anything special with the animation, but it's really funny. And it's the scene where you can just hear him trying to ride the camel, and he's going back and forth, and he can't control it, and you just see the other main characters, and their eyes just go to the left, and they just go to the right, and they're just kind of watching him fail. And it's funny, and they didn't have to do anything special with the animation, and I really like that. So yeah, they get the camels, they're on their way into the desert, and then the sun, that's the name of the episode. It's a stand, it starts melting everything, the camels are dropping, they're losing their water. Joseph is hilarious in this episode, aside from all the stuff before, with mentioning fucking Lawrence of Arabia and shit, and that's how he knows how to ride camels, and just him fucking getting shit broken, and he's like, oh shit, and son of a bitch in English, and it's really funny. But yeah, it's a stand, it's the sun, it's melting everything, they're pretty much fucked. And then they start going mad from heat, except for Joseph, and it really felt like a Joseph-centric episode, which I really liked. Because it's only his second fucking episode that he's been, like, the main character of. And it seems like everyone's going mad from heat, but no, they're just laughing because of how stupid they were. They notice that there's a rock and another rock, and they're identical. So if someone's, like, using a mirror, so Jotaro has Star Platinum throw a rock with surprisingly well-done animation for throwing a rock. And it just bangs this dude in the head, and he's fucking done. And Joseph's just like, is that it? What the fuck? We don't even know the fucking dude's name. I think his name was Arabian Fats, but that was because of the eye catcher. Yeah, and then he's taken care of, and they go on their way. And then we get a really interesting preview. It's not like your typical preview. It was like Kakyoin sleeping, and you just hear like this crying, and then he wakes up and screams. That was a really interesting preview. So I can't wait to see what happens there. It's another multi-part, so, you know. It was kind of refreshing to get an episode that wasn't multi-part, but this really felt like it could have been, like, half an episode, maybe. Because we start the episode with, you know, they're in the situation already, and we don't know what the fuck's going on, and then it cuts back. And it's like, the camels could have been shortened a bit, and I don't know how much of this stuff was in the manga, because I know this anime likes to add little bits here and there. So I don't know if, you know, what was in the manga or whatever, but yeah. I don't know how long this review is going to be. I'm trying to find things to talk about for this episode. Not really much happened, but I did think it was fine. It's hard to call it fillerish because, you know, there's a lot of stand users you could probably skip. So, I mean, I don't want to call it fillerish, but it really felt so short and so unnecessary, especially since nothing was really at stake other than I mean, of course they're going to die if it gets too hot, but I mean, the stand user was so weak, and it just seemed really, really, really irrelevant. But, I mean, you could say that about any of them. You could have said Wheel of Fortune was irrelevant. You could have said Steely Dan was irrelevant. But, I mean, that was awesome. So Steely Dan gets a pass. But, yeah, overall I'll give it like a 6.5 out of 10 or maybe a 7 out of 10. I don't know. And the animation was fine. Not the best of Jojo, but Jojo always looks fucking amazing. The episode's progression, a little slow here and there. Nothing too bad. It wasn't, you know, ridiculously drawn out. But yeah, like 6.5 or 7. Wasn't the best episode of Stardust Crusaders, but that happens sometimes. Thanks for watching this video. Tell me what you guys thought of the episode down below. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.